Norm, along with assistant Fred Wells, will be with you every step of the way as you navigate the process of getting a reverse mortgage.
Today we have a new prospect that's going to be coming in. It's the daughter of a couple. They're both in their 70s, and she just wants some more information to make sure this is the right thing for her parents. And I understand that you have some questions. Fred Wells and myself both are with Senior Reverse Mortgage Services, and we're here today to answer any and all your questions and concerns about a reverse mortgage for your parents.
I've read some of your literature and listened to your radio show on several occasions, and then there's all the other noise out there that you read and hear on the internet. And so some of the main questions I wanted to reaffirm were our answers that if my parents do a reverse mortgage, when they pass away, that there's no financial liability for me or my siblings.
Because it's a non-recourse loan, and that means that you and your parents don't have to make up for any losses in the house. So if the house depreciates and mom and dad passes away, or they sell the house and it's worth less than what was borrowed, and the FHA will make up the difference and pay the bank what that difference is, and you and the rest of the children don't have any concerns whatsoever. Now, if there is any equity left, you will get that equity at closing. So if the house sells for more money than what is owed against it, you all will profit from that.
What if they get sick, or when they get elderly and they have to move into like a nursing home or something?
What I have seen happen typically is one of them may have to go into rehab for an extended period of time. And under those circumstances, whichever one is left, they don't have to worry. They can live there with no payments, nobody's going to bother them, etc., as long as one person's living in the house. Now, if both of them were to go into, say, a nursing home or rehab for over a year, then they would be asking them to put the house on the market and sell it. And hopefully there'll be equity left that they retrieve.
Okay. One of her friends, I guess she has a reverse mortgage, and she was complaining about the fact that she gets a letter every year asking her a lot of questions, and that must have something to do with that 1 year.
They want to know if they're still occupying the property or not.
Okay.
And as long as someone is still there occupying the property, that's the end of it. They simply sign. It shouldn't be any big hassle or anything for them. The other thing I guess I would add on that is if one of them were to pass away, the survivor can either stay in the house the rest of their life with no worry of payments, or they can elect to sell the property at that time and move.
Right, and that's always a possibility that they may, mother may move in with us if she was by herself. And
that's exactly right. And some people get the idea that if they do a reverse mortgage, they have to stay in the home, and that's not true.
Exactly. Her friend had mentioned that like they couldn't leave, and I was like, I don't think that's right.
No, it's not.
Yeah. My parents' house is an older part of town, so the real estate there is going down in value. Is that going to be a problem?
If the market value, if you've seen it over the last couple of years, it's an older neighborhood and starting to decline, certainly you would want to do the reverse now instead of later, because you're going to get the most, your parents are going to get the most bang for their buck. Okay? And certainly we want to make sure that mom or dad can pay their taxes and insurance on that, because that's all the liability really they have, other than keeping the property up like they normally are doing. So the appraiser is going to be the one that's appraising the property. Hopefully we've had some really good sales in there, and that's the case, and that's going to stabilize the market. And we've been seeing the market in the last couple of years after 2008 begin to increase again. So we really don't know what the true value is until we get the appraisal.
So they will have to have an appraisal first. That's one of the first things that happens.
Well, that's not the first thing. The first thing is after we counsel with them, then we get them set up to do their counseling. You can be there on the counseling phone call so that you can hear everything that the counselor is asking them questions. Part of the questions that they're going to be asking later in that conversation is going to be a test for dementia issues. So they want to make your parents are sure that there was sound mind.
Okay.
So they're gonna ask them to repeat some of the questions they asked them in the beginning. So you need to be aware of that.
Okay.
And after that, after they get their certificates, and then we can do the application, they sign the application, and once that application is signed, and we get an FHA number, then we can request an appraisal at that time.
Okay.
The appraisal will then tell us what the true value of the property is, and at that point, we are required by law to do a redisclosure. By that, all the numbers that we first presented to them are going to have changed based upon the appraisal. So we have to redo a new application process to disclose what the new numbers are to them, and they have to agree with that.
Okay.
And then after all that's done, the paperwork is sent on up to the underwriter. The underwriter at that point will usually come back with some additional questions. Usually they're fairly simple. Has the property taxes been paid for the year? Have they paid their homeowner's insurance? Things like that. And then once they are satisfied, then they'll set up a time and date for a closing. Now we can close at your parents' home. They could come to Colleyville.
And that saves them the notary fee?
That would save them the notary fee.
Oh, okay. How long typically do you see this take from start to finish if there's no problems with the appraisal or whatever?
We can see anywhere from 45 to 60 days.
Okay.
Sometimes it's quicker, sometimes it's not much longer than 60. And that's usually because there's some mechanical issues with the house, foundation problems, some cracks or maybe termites, repairs that might need to be made that the appraiser has noticed in his appraisal.
So that 60 days would maybe encompass even some of those issues?
Yeah, it would, yes.
What if my parents decide down the road in a few years that they may want to sell this house and purchase another house or downsize instead? What is their options going to be?
Well, they could do that. It's like any other mortgage. They just get with a realtor and put the house up for sale, and then they could move and go to everywhere they want. But if they're going to think they might going to sell in a few years, then we might recommend they go ahead and sell now, okay, and then do a reverse mortgage for purchase. What that does for them, now they get all the equity out of their house that they have, and then if they're going to downsize, they won't need as much money for a down payment. They may need to put 40, 50% down on the house, depending at the time how old they are, and they put that much money down. Then they get to move into the new house with no house payments, and all they have to pay is the property taxes and the homeowner's insurance. So if they're not sure they're going to stay there, then we're going to recommend they go ahead and not do the reverse mortgage now, sell the property, and then do a reverse for purchase. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's called a reverse mortgage for purchase. Well, I don't see that happening right away, but I was thinking about, like earlier I was saying, if my father was gone and my mother then decided to downsize or to relocate, that might be 10 years.
Well, if that's what happened, then they could do the reverse now, and any equity left at that time after 10 years, they could use as to apply to a reverse for purchase.
Okay. I see on the list here that there's several ways that they can receive their money, whether it be monthly or a lump sum.
Correct. There's three basic ways to receive the money. They can get a lump sum, a line of credit, a monthly payment, or they can get a combination of all three if they wanted to. The most common today is a partial lump sum and then put the remainder in a line of credit until they need it. And if they do that, that money that goes in the line of credit is not charged any interest. So it's just sitting there on hold for them. And for every time they have a birthday, the value of that line of credit is going to increase 3.7%. So if there was $100,000 in that line of credit for them, it would be $3,700 that they would get additional credit each year. What could they do with that money? That could be the money to pay their property taxes, their homeowner's insurance, their car insurance. Those are the types of things, the big bills that they have to pay every year.
Yes,
So now we have the house working for mom and dad.
that's great. That because of property taxes and obviously the homeowner's insurance is the big tickets,
Big ticket
expenses.
items. Sure.
That's good to know. And then the lump sum, like if they needed foundation repair, because a lot of older homes do, they could use part of that up front for that.
Yes, they could.
Because that's something I'd be a little bit worried about.
Yeah.
Is that more than likely they're gonna have some kind of repair that's gonna be needed on an older home.
It's going to be, the way they receive those monies, it can be flexible for them. We've got clients doing all kinds of different things depending upon their situation and what kind of repairs they want to make on the house.
That's great, that's good. What exactly would I need to do, or what would they need to do to move forward? They have to start with the paperwork?
First thing Fred's going to be able to do is go out to their house, review with them again, everything about the reverse mortgage. You could be there if you want to. And then at that point, they're ready to go forward. Then Fred's going to set them up with a meeting with the HUD FHA counselors. We don't pick them, your parents do. We give you a list with 800 numbers that they can call. And then once they do their counseling, Fred then can come back out with the application process, pick up our copies of the counseling certificate, and then they'll sign the application. Once the application's done, and we get the FHA number, which usually takes a few days, 48 hours or so, then we can move forward with the appraisal process.
Okay,
Okay? And that's pretty much, and then it's all up to the underwriting and what we get back from the appraiser.
okay, all right. Fred, is there something that you would need today before you come out to the house to see my parents?
I'm going to need both of your parents' birthdays.
Okay,
I need the address of the property so
Okay.
that I can research it on the real estate databases to see approximately what the market value might be.
okay,
If they have a mortgage, I'd like to know the approximate balance of that mortgage so I can factor that in and make sure we pay off their mortgage for them.
okay,
And that's really all I need. When I come to the home, I'll bring with me then the pre-counseling package. And I'll explain the program to them. I'll show them what they actually qualify for. Some counselors will ask the homeowner questions. And I will actually give you those questions ahead of time and go over them with you and what the correct answers are. I'll explain to them how they can take their money so they can begin thinking about that. I'll give them a list of the counselors then, and then I go away and leave them alone, and they can call in private with you being present or not. They can call and schedule their counseling. And then when they receive their counseling certificates in the mail after the counseling, I will hand carry back out to them the application. And when I bring the application, I will give you ahead of time a list of documents that they're going to need, such as color photocopies of their driver's license. We're going to need, if they have a mortgage, we're going to need a copy of the mortgage statement that has the mortgage number and a contact number on it. We'll need a copy of the homeowner's insurance statement showing how to contact the insurance company and a policy number on it to show that it's current. We'll need a copy of a recent tax statement showing that it's paid for. Now, if they're not up to date, we can help them get them up to date. So if they happen to be behind a little bit, we can help them with that issue. Since both of your parents are alive, we don't need a whole lot more. If the house is in a trust, I'm going to need a copy of the trust at that time.
Well, that would be so great if you can come out and lead them or guide them a little bit on that counseling call. They'd probably be the most nervous about that, even if I'm there with them, having the questions, answers, some guidance there.
Oh yeah, I'll tell them the pros and cons and make them feel very comfortable. And when we do the application, I help them fill the application out so that they're very comfortable.
That would be great. That hand-holding is what they kind of expect from me to.
That's what Mr. Williams and his people want to do. We will be with you each step of the way.
That's wonderful. Well, I think that makes it very easy for them to understand and to feel comfortable with moving forward. These documents, I have those, or they have them, and we can certainly have those ready for.
We'll tell you
that
ahead
visit.
of time.
Great, good. Well, I appreciate the fact that you guys have taken the time with me today and answered all of my questions. If I
Good.
come up with some new ones, I can call you before
Just call.
you come or when you get there and schedule that ahead of time. So, do you have your calendar?
Reverse mortgages are sourced by private companies, and you should be wary because there is very little government protection.
Wrong again. KAAM's reverse mortgage loan officer, NormanWilliams, will be the first to tell you that his industry is one of the most heavily regulated in the country, specifically by the FHA and HUD. These heavy regulations are designed to protect seniors, protect you from being taken advantage of. Norm Williams knows this better than anyone, for not only is he a reverse mortgage loan officer and has a reverse mortgage on his own home, his company has brokered hundreds and hundreds of reverse mortgages, all of which he has overseen. This means he will answer any question you can throw at him because he knows the process from all sides. Give Norm a call today and find out how a reverse mortgage can enrich your retirement. Call 877-528-4429. Senior Reverse Mortgage Services, Inc. is an equal opportunity lender. NMLS number 257913.